farther along the reef. This is going back 1997. You can see, and it's at nighttime, or in the evening anyway. These beautiful vase-like shaped Montipora colonies extended over large areas of that reef at a depth of 30 or 40 feet. Large lobophilia colonies look quite nice, were very common. Lots of fungiids. Another lobophilia up there behind the yellow butterfly fish. This is what it looks like now. All those wonderful Montipora colonies are dead, and like the anacropora up in shallow water, they're all smashed up for some reason. I don't believe there's been any physical disturbance, certainly no storms in this area. It's very calm, it's always protected. But the dead skeletons must become more fragile and just fall apart. Again, just looks like a giant junk heap. The lobophilia, you can see there, is about half or less than half alive. There's another lobophilia there that's got red polyps, and the red indicates how much of it's alive. The rest of it is dead. It will come back, though, from those little bits of live tissue. 1997, this is Pavona cactus in that same area, just a little bit farther along the reef. Just fields and fields of Pavona cactus and lots of fish along with it. That's what it used to look like. Today, some of that's still alive. What I'm just going over there is alive, but beyond it, down here, you can see gray areas. Most of it is dead, being covered by sponges. There's some Pachycerus that's alive, but much of that Pavona is also gone. And again, you'll see in the distance more of the Montiporas, Anacroporas, so forth that are gone. The bubble corals in this area seem to have survived quite well, though. But just a couple of years ago, this entire area was all living coral. Grow quite quickly. Goniopora, this is 1997. We've been following this field of Goniopora for many, many years, so it's an area that I've known for a long time. It's quite extensive. Goniopora has very long polyps, very fleshy polyps, and here you can see 1997 what it looked like. And the next scene will be taken from almost the same angle. All of this is dead now, but this is what it used to look like. Here it is now. The polyps are all gone. There are little bits and pieces of coral that are still alive down in the very center of this, so one day this will probably recover. Now it's just a field of dead coral. Likewise, 1997, this is Goniopora stokesi. This is the coral that produces little satellite colonies, like little round balls that fall off and form new colonies. This is in fairly shallow water, probably less than 6 feet deep. This is what it looked like in 1997, just acres of Goniopora. Here and there were dead colonies in between the live colonies, but for the most part this was a very rich field of Goniopora that extended probably for an acre or more, and seagrass in between. Here's what it looks like now. It's all dead. I did find a few little pieces of live coral here and there, but for the most polyps are retracted. In a swim over the same area of seagrasses, you can see living porites here and there. The Goniopora it's very hard to find any living in there. Every now and then you'll see some sort of beige colored areas around the lower edges of some of these rocks, like that one just in the lower left and there in the middle. They will recover in time. So this is all within the lagoon region of Palau's reefs. Okay, this scene is about 2 miles offshore at the short drop-off. This was in 1997 in the evening. This is the chevron butterfly fish. They used to be quite common on the short drop-off reefs. And you can see branching, living acropora here. This is April 1997. This is May of 1997. It's the same area, just at the edge of the reef. On the other side of this, it drops off very steeply into very deep depths. The depth here is probably in the order of 20 to 30 feet. This was a rainy day, April of 1997. Just swimming on the surface, pointing the camera downwards. Didn't realize that these would be the last scenes I would be videotaping of this reef when it looked really nice. But even on a cloudy day, you can see some nice colors on the corals. You can certainly, there's no question that everything you see in front of you there is alive. Looking at the surface, you can see it's raining, in fact. Same area, same day. Nice colors on the corals, greens, blues, beige, pink, yellow. Lots of soft corals in here too, Singularia. This is Acropora florida, table of corals, table coral. Nice blue acropora, Stylophora. Same area, continuing just to swim along. Huge table acroporas were very common in this area. Another chevron butterfly fish in the center of the picture. And lastly, another scene. Again, this is in the evening. It's a 5-hour time difference, so it would have been 5 p.m. on May 5th, 1997. Nice table acropora, beautiful reef scene at the short drop-off reef. Same area, May 23rd, 1999. Everything you see here is dead. The only thing that might be alive is that Porites in the very shallow water. The reef is now just gray. Looks like a forest fire has rushed through this area and left everything dead in its wake. The corals now are covered with algae on most of the reef. It's become an algae reef instead of a coral reef. All of these corals, most of them anyway, died off last August and September 1998. Okay, this is the same day, May 23rd, 1999. We'll swim from shallow water here down to deeper water. And where this area in the previous scenes was beautiful area of living corals, it's now completely gone. Porites in the lower right is alive. Way up in the distance are some more Porites corals. The largest mound-like coral is actually a fine branching Millipora tenella, let's say fire coral, and it's alive. All of the Millipora tenella survive. It's on the left of the picture right now. Now I'm at the edge of the reef. You can see most everything is dead. Some of the Porites have survived, but all of the acropora is dead. Probably between 40 and 50 feet down at this point, and everything is still dead. All of the corals, that is. Okay, this is the same continuation of that transect, just adjusting for the light at a little deeper depths. It's pretty self-explanatory. While the fishes seem to be fairly normal in the terms of species, the corals are certainly gone. And it continued this way all the way down to at least 100 feet where I stopped, and I understand it continues much deeper. One thing that does seem to be missing on these reefs, though, are the orange anthias. Saw very few of them when I was diving. Other people noted the same thing, that the anthian fishes seem to be gone. Maybe it may have been my imagination, but it also sounded much quieter on the reef than in the past, but it's hard to measure that in any quantitative sense. This is back up on the top edge of the reef, probably around 30 or 40 feet. There are no chevron butterfly fish on this reef anymore, at least I did not find any of them. And there are very few, if any, coral-feeding butterfly fishes other than those that can switch to other foods like Chaetodon reticulatus. I did see several of them. I'm just going to let this continue now, and you can see for yourself. This just goes on, and from what I understand, it continues this way for many, many miles up the coast. Those are Chaetodon trifasciatus, now called Chaetodon lunulatus, and although they're coral feeders, they feed on parietes, so they seem to have made it okay. Again, the Millipora tenella that I just swam over was alive, and you can see some Sinularia soft corals that have come back or survived. More Millipora on the right that has survived, but again, all of the Acropora is dead. It's just Sinularia, soft coral, it's alive. And again, up on the left, in the foreground, in the background, is more Millipora tenella. So this reef has pretty much become a Millipora parietes reef, where it used to be an Acropora reef. So I think a Goniastria, a Faviid coral. It's all dead on the top, but there is a ring of living tissue around the perimeter. So clearly it's more than just heat. This is the only living Acropora that I found on this reef. It looks quite battered. The tips have been broken off. There may be some coral-feeding fishes that hammered on this one. But you can see it's the only live Acropora anywhere around. This is very shallow water. Probably less than 3 feet deep. As you can tell by the sound of the bubbles, it's very shallow water. And you can see the surface just ahead. But there's nothing else alive. A little farther down on the reef, I found this little fragment of living Acropora, but there's only about 1 inch of it alive. Below it, it's freshly dead, and all around it is dead coral that has died in the recent past and is being covered with algae. So there's still some coral death occurring even now. Okay, this is May of 1997. This is at the Blue Corner Reef. You can see it used to be a vibrant, colorful reef full of, this is Pseudanthius dispar. These are some of the anthian fishes that are now very hard to find on the reefs. I didn't look real hard for them, but again, I didn't see any on the reef now. And up in the shallow water at the blue corner, this area received more wave action. You can see there's lots of Poecilopora, fair amount of Acropora. This is an area that obviously gets some heavy wave action during certain times of the year. This is what it looks like now. Quite a strong current running. All of the Poecilopora seem to be dead, as do the Acroporas. They're primarily gone. The Parietes coming up. You can see there's still some bleached areas on this Parietes. Apparently Turbinaria is the live yellowish-brown coral down there. Again, I didn't see any live Poecilopora on this reef, even though it was abundant before.